GM, just a second, y'all. Let me get this set up. Apologize for being 10 minutes late. I did not realize in my head, I completely thought I set this up for 12:15 Eastern time. So I apologize. I did not need to set this up 10 minutes late. Like, I don't know, like, what in the world I was thinking putting 12:05, because 12:05 is such a random time. But anyway, we're up and running on what I thought was the time that I set up. It's good to see y'all again for the 79th consecutive week. I'm going to get things up and running with a tweet here in a second. Mr. Rooster, how is it going, sir? How are you doing on this beautiful Friday?
GM, doing well. Thanks for holding off until I got back with my breakfast bagel.
Oh, that's perfect timing then. That's all I was waiting for.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, another beautiful Friday. I mean, not so beautiful. It's pretty gloomy outside right now.
Is it?
Yeah, it's cloudy. It's one of the 10 cloudy days we get in Denver every year.
Dude, I saw that there was a tornado, an F1 tornado over Pikes Peak.
Honestly, I have no idea. I don't watch the news, bro. I
It's
get all
kind
my
of crazy,
news.
though. I've never seen a mountain tornado before, though.
Don't we get all of our news from FriendTech, bro?
Dude, I actually got that news, believe it or not. I downloaded TikTok the other day because I wanted to try to see, like, can I find any good viral videos to basically be able to steal and put on here. And so far, I've not found a lot, but I did come across that.
Yeah, I mean, I still don't have TikTok. My girl uses it. I stick to x.com.
Okay, scandalous.
in Reddit. But
All
no, yeah,
right.
it's been a good week. Caught some dubs this week. Helped drive that knife into Pepe on a short yesterday. So
You'd love to hear it.
happy on
Which
that.
it's kind of wild how all that went down, man. Like, how it is all going. It doesn't look like it's something. The more I'm looking into it, I don't think it's going to be a complete death nail for Pepe, but dude, it definitely it hurts, right? It's not like they controlled 50% of the supply, and but like a few percentage at these levels is still a lot.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, what's the narrative now? Why would you buy Pepe?
Well, it kind of taints the narrative completely, right? Because in your head, you're like, well, buying, selling, trading, doing anything at this point supports people that are just scumbags. So I don't care at all whether or not there is, I love the meme. I love everything else about it, right? But like, I don't want to support. I don't want to support scum. Like, it's that simple, right? If that is somebody's mentality and their approach with the project and they're at the helm of it, it's not a Matt Fury project. And, that was a big contentious point for a long time there at the beginning. I actually thought it was cool, though, how they finally rallied around to pay Matt Fury. And, I thought that was a really positive development going forward. But the fact is, right, like, the founder of, the creator of Pepe, I should say, isn't involved. And the rest of the people who really are, it's coming to light that they're not good people. So it's that simple.
Just scam artists, literally, just scam artists. Which, I mean, honestly, is 80% of the space right now, anyways. But yeah, I don't see a narrative. I hold no Pepe. The only positions I will open will probably be shorts. I will profit on the downfall, and I will apologize to absolutely nobody.
But dude, it's just so lazy what they're doing right now, because here's my opinion. They're capitulating at the bottom, right? There's scammers who are capitulating at the bottom of the market who legitimately had a chance. I fully believe, had they not touched anything, that this could have grown into a $10 billion project, right? And like, they just got lazy and greedy at the very bottom. And they're like, it just doesn't make sense to me, man, how dumb some people are, right? You've already made millions off of this. What is it that is incentivizing you at this point to, just go ahead, finish it off, squeeze out a few more million? Like, you've got enough to be able to tide over whatever this bear market is. Just chill. If you're going to scam people, at least do it for billions, not millions.
Bro, it's like the old boat saying, the best time to rug a project is the day you deploy. The second best time is today.
I haven't heard that, but that's kind of funny.
No, I made it up because yesterday in the Abot shows they were talking about like boats and stuff, and someone was like, they say the two best days in boat life are the day you buy the boat and the day you sell the boat. And I was like, oh, that sounds eerily similar to.
Well, no, I have heard that from the boat perspective.
No,
I just
yeah,
never heard
I made
somebody
it up
apply it to a
yesterday.
project before.
I made it up 100%.
I love it, man. Crow, what's going on, man? What's good?
You. Not too much, man. Just want to say hi to my Wonky fam. What's good? What's good with you, man? How are you?
Doing really well, man. I've honestly missed your posture checks. Because I've sat here on point every single one of these, ready for you, and it's been a minute since we've heard them.
Well, I love that, man. It means it's doing its job. Just the threat of the posture check is keeping the posture in check. So I love to hear it.
Yeah, the crowd definitely could use it as well. I know, this is a posture check for everybody in the crowd. Throw up that emoji if you just got caught right now slouching on the job. I want to see some type of emoji thrown up in the air. I caught you red-handed, and it's okay. It's all Crow's fault. You can thank him for it, and you're welcome.
I literally just sat up straighter in my seat.
There we go, Timmy. Okay, we got Douglas. We got a couple people that are actually honest, good people in the crowd. The other, at least 30% of you, and 30% is being generous, are just liars laughing right now, and it's okay.
Bro, I look like a gremlin hunched over eating my bagel right now. So,
I still haven't eaten. Still have not eaten anything today so far. My food's I honestly probably should make a sandwich right now as we're doing this. It's probably not a bad idea.
I have a question, Kaleo, because we seen back when Pepe dropped a few months back, we saw NFTs being jeeted off a cliff. A lot of the Pepe holders were NFT maxis. But now that Pepe was fucking jeeting itself off a cliff yesterday, we saw a lot of projects catching 10, 20% bids. Do you think that's correlated?
I mean, potentially, yes. And I only say that because thinking about it, right? There are a decent amount of Pepe holders, Pepe whales, that have NFT backgrounds. That Pepe was kind of their first step, dipping their toes in the water for something different. So if those degens are true degens and they're looking to stay invested, there is a potential chance that some of the people that had moved over and liquidated some of their projects so that they could have a liquid stake in Pepe ended up saying, okay, I'm done with that, and decided why not go ahead and buy the blood back into these NFT projects that in their mind they were never done with in the first place, right? In their mind, it was just kind of a loan. They were just selling it for a short period of time so that they could ride a different roller coaster. And yeah, I definitely think there's got to be some level of correlation there. That's probably why it's a lower volume move, though. I don't think it's this huge amount of people. And I think right now, the thing that a lot of people that's deceptive about the NFT market in general, some of these floor prices are pretty low, but they're really thin, right? So it doesn't take much volume to move projects at this point. And, hey, maybe it really is something where it kind of helps create the bottom that we've been looking for. And, again, I don't think it's one of those things where it's going to be this heavy, massive wick back up type of thing, right? Candle backup, I should say. I think it's going to be, if this is something that is part of it, maybe it just helps start rounding upward, right? So I could see that.
Yeah. Also, what I seen this morning too. Apparently, Uniswap's volume flipped Coinbase today, which I'm not sure.
No
Yeah, I'm
way.
not sure if that's ever happened before.
Dude, that's wild. I've not seen that. But it's not surprising, honestly, man. Like, it's like the better decentralized exchanges have become, the more seamless they have, as well as the more cumbersome it's become to enter into a centralized environment. And also, like, dude, just a lot of the advantages that are on the dexes right now from having this basically virtual casino that's out there. It's incentivized a lot of volume to head that direction versus, like a lot of Coinbase's volume comes from normies. And right now there are not a lot of normies that are just trying to rush into the crypto game yet.
Yeah, I feel like most participants right now are almost like gun to the head participants. They sell now, they'll lose everything, right? Or, but yeah, no, a lot of people that are left, I see, still trying to gamble on shit coins. Not really any new, not much NFT gambling except for looks rare wheel, right? I don't know if you heard about that. You can essentially deposit NFTs or ETH into a pool for like a percent chance to win the entire pool.
So they're basically trying to
The CS:GO, the
pivot.
CS:GO wheel is essentially what it is.
Here's what I'm hearing though, man. This is basically a pivot where they see the success that Rollbit has had, and they're like, we're not working out well as just purely an NFT exchange. Um, we have to pivot to survive.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think many people are doing well as NFT exchanges right now either. But yeah, no, it's a pretty interesting move from Looks. That's like the most attention they've gotten since 1 week after the airdrop. So I don't think it will do much though. I think they'll still be pretty obsolete.
No, it is interesting though. Um, yeah, like here's my deal, right? I really, I think that it feels like right now we're just in this stage where there's a little bit of development coming out, and there are some fun things that are popping up occasionally, but the market is just so flat that I don't know, man. I haven't seen Twitter this dead in a minute, personally. I haven't seen a lot of things this, and you know, as I'm saying all this, I want to clarify. It actually, like, I'm being dead serious as I say this. It makes me bullish, man. It really does make me bullish. These are the signs that you look for a bottom when everything is just completely dead, desolate, barren. There's not much going on. People are tinkering with things just to try to like squeeze whatever engagement they can left, out of the market participants that are still there. It just, this is part of it. And I am completely, completely fine with the fact that we're here. It's one of those things you just have to have a zoomed out, higher time frame point of view with your approach.
Bro, yeah, literally. Solana partnered with Shopify to incorporate seamless, like quick, cheap crypto transactions, right? They announced this yesterday. Something like that. If that was announced during the bull, that would teleport Solana like fucking 60 to 100%.
Yeah.
It didn't do fucking shit. In fact, I think they might have even dropped a couple percent yesterday.
Oh, exactly, man. Like, that is a perfect example, Rooster, of where we are. We're in the trenches right now. And honestly, I really do mean this when I say it. The people that are here right now, it's not a guarantee that you're going to make it on the other side, but you have a good chance, right? Like, you're going to have opportunity that other people that wait for things to completely tick up and for them to get fun again will not have. So, and that's the advantage of having the conviction and sticking around, right? Not doing anything too crazy, is that you have kind of that pole position that, hey, others might have the ability to pass you up, but you've got to make the mistakes to be able to let that happen. So, yeah, but the Solana Shopify thing, perfect example.
Yeah, one thing that I need to get better at before this next bull tick is holding my trades. I don't like to be in a trade for like over an hour, and that's like so I end up closing out pretty quickly, um, and I'd caught like the very first wick on Pepe as soon as that news came out, and I opened a short. I was going into work, had to wage cuck, and I didn't want a leverage position open, so I put a stop loss at like 50% profit, and then it tapped it, and I was like, oh, you got to be shitting me. And yeah, my trade would have been like 400x, or not 400x, but probably 4x, 400% by the time I got home from that, and I was like, God, that's I know I'm gonna fumble. I sell way too early on things. And that's one thing I need to be able to do is, catch my forever long here within the next few months or whatever, and then somehow just ride that up to the top. But I'm so impatient when it comes to trading. I need to get a lot better at that.
I respect one though to be able to set it and say, hey, I'm going to step away from the screen, set this at a point where I guarantee myself X amount of profit and just walk away. I see no problem with that, man. I think a lot more people need to have that type of mentality. It just is one of those things that it sucks because it always happens to where the one play that you have that discipline with is the one that ends up just running.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, I don't know what I need to change to get better at that, but like, even I'll be 100% in the profit, right? And my trade will be continue going in the right direction. And I'll pull out. I'm like 100% is good, even though it'll run for another 5 to 10x. If I just would have held it, I'm like, I'm going to take my money and run. And it's a good strategy in the overall in the long term. But if you're trying to catch those fucking 10K to 100K trades, or 10K to almost a million trades, right? It's going to take a lot more patience and a lot more diamond of hands.
Yeah, but the thing is, I think there's a complete difference. You're rarely going to nail that type of trade on a high leverage move on a centralized exchange, right? That's the big difference from what you're talking about for nailing these 100x type trades. In a bull market, maybe, right? Like, but in a bear market, you've got to be more nimble, especially if you're doing that type of stuff on a centralized exchange with high leverage. You don't usually get the opportunity. You might be 200% in profit, and 10 minutes later you feel content about it, you check back and you're liquidated if you got too content, right? So you have to have the type of discipline to be able to set up those stops and to be able to move forward with it. I think the difference, a lot of the on-chain stuff is honestly where a lot of those opportunities really lie, is getting on something early, like what happened with Pepe, and being able to ride that out. Like a lot of the NFT plays that we've seen happen, just the patience that people had there at the very beginning. You can look at like what apes did in their trajectory. It didn't happen overnight, right? Like it took months of it just slowly grinding up to really get to the point where things happen. And right now we're at the point where the market's been down for a while and we've been sidewinding. But I really do think that there are going to be some of those opportunities that arise from, I don't want to say the ashes, but like, dormant volcano type thing waiting to explode for this next bull market.
Yeah, I mean, the same issue is spilt over to me in NFTs as well. Like, I thought I made a fucking, decent trade when I swept 20 Pepin at 0.01 and then sold him at 0.1. I was like, oh shit, look at that 10x. No, now I'm just seething in cope right now.
Dude, I remember sitting there. I nearly swept like a couple hundred OPEP in back at like point oh 0.01, point oh 0.02. No, I think it was like point oh 0.02 back earlier this year because people were talking about it. But then I just thought it was such a, it just didn't make sense to me.
Bro, yeah, between the
And looking back
Abashos,
on it though, Rooster, I would have done the exact same thing. I would have traded it maybe to like point 0.1, been super content, and completely exited. So I don't have that much, regret about it because I know I would have done the exact same thing with the
you
fund.
know what's funny about the psychology too is like this hurts worse than if I were to just be completely rugged on the point 0.2 ETH. I've deleted point 0.2 ETH and like, I mean, I'm sure everybody here has in fractions of a second, right? And it does not feel near as bad as selling a 75x too early. Like even though I made out with almost 2 ETH in profits on that, like cool, good trade, whatever. I'm seething in cope that they reached all the way up to 1 ETH at one point in time, and yeah, it hurts worse than if OPEPin would have just went to zero, and I would have just been stuck with a bag of pixelated peeps.
Yeah, the funny thing is though, that's part of the war stripes of just being here for this long is having those type of stories, right? Um, so we've got a few people up on stage who have not had the chance to speak yet. Let's start with Pick God. Pick God, what's going on, man?
Bro, it's been a while since I've been up here. How you guys doing? All right?
Can't complain, sir.
Yeah, man. I lost my wallet, so I'm at the bank right now trying to get a new debit card, which kind of sucks. Got to go get a new license tomorrow. I was kind of thinking about like Lander talking about that a couple weeks ago.
Dude, the funny thing is, real quick, as soon as you said that, my heart jumped, and I felt terrible for you because I thought you meant your digital wallet.
Oh no, thank you, dude. No. But I'm literally like
And I
sitting in the
felt so
bank.
much worse for you than you losing your physical wallet.
Oh yeah, no, never that, man. But I am sitting in the bank just playing this fucking Stonk space out loud because I don't have any headphones with me. So I think that's a little funny.
Oh,
But
that is amazing.
yeah, dude, I've been just like traveling a little bit. I don't know if I even got to talk to you guys. I met up with 80s down in Tampa, and it was awesome. We grabbed some breakfast, hooked up, talked for a while. Really good conversation. We didn't even really talk about crypto, which honestly was like my favorite part about it. But he's a great guy, man. So stocks forever.
Wait, where'd you meet up in Tampa?
We went to like some Cuban place some place for breakfast down there. I
So
don't
a
know. I
real
was
good
supposed to
place
meet up
right
with.
off, like not the Riverwalk. I forget what it's
Yeah,
called.
it's pretty close. I was staying at that Riverwalk actually for a wedding. Man, it's like pretty near like this area where they used to make a lot of cigars, like a little old Cuba type of place. And I was supposed to meet up with Stud Muffin too, dude, but he was so hungover that he wasn't feeling good for breakfast, which was kind of sad, but I understand because I was kind of in the same shape.
I didn't know that Stud Muffin was a Tampa guy.
He is not. He actually like just went down there for a concert. I'm pretty sure.
Okay, well that makes sense then. I feel better.
Yeah, but yeah, man, everything's chilling with me. Market dipping a little bit kind of sucks, but it's not a big deal. Just stacking cash and chilling.
Love to hear it, man. Let's see who else. We got Frederick up on stage as well. Frederick, I don't think I've ever had the chance to hear you speak, and if I have and I'm wrong, I apologize. But feel free to introduce yourself.
No
What's going
problem.
on?
What's up, guys? I been around, don't talk a lot, just kind of lurk. But yeah, I'm a longtime Bitcoin holder. Also mined a couple of or of your Wonky Stonks. So love them.
Minted, minted.
Minted.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
man. Also, I'm a funk and um yeah, never bought into the Pepe. I've been rugged too many times. Um, Love listening.
Well, welcome up to the stage, sir. So what was it that inspired you to hop up here with us today? I appreciate you
Yeah,
doing it.
just wanted to introduce myself. I'm not big on, public speaking, but just like to let everybody know that I'm not just a bot. Sometimes I don't listen a lot or I don't talk a lot. So people probably think I'm some random bot, but like to.
Well, you know what one of the greatest realizations that you can have in this space, though, is, you said you're not a big public speaker, is kind of disassociating the fact that the people that are all in the audience right now are real people. Like, I see the PFPs in there, and I'm sure you're real people, right? Like, each and every one of you. You're not, maybe there are a couple bots, but it's not like I don't picture myself as standing up on front of a stage, sitting next to Rooster with mics in our hands and people just sitting over there in the audience, which maybe it's like that. I just picture it as Rooster and I having a conversation up here and
Yeah,
occasionally somebody else walking in the room and talking too. So I see it as something where it's not really a public forum. Even though it is, it doesn't
Well,
look like
also in
it.
the depths of the bear, I mean, it's not really public at all at this point. It's
right.
more like private room speaking.
Yeah, it makes me feel more comfortable talking just because I know it's the people that really care.
That's the time to
Yeah,
do it.
man, I
That's the time to do it,
I've been
man.
around since 2011. Used to mine Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin. Still have a Litecoin machine. Um, Sold a Bitcoin for $500. That's my claim to fame when I tell people. Um, you know, Luckily didn't sell all of my stack, but it's just one of those things. You go through all those times. You learn that I think the game is really, um, even with Pepe. Everything's trying to steal your Bitcoin, your ETH, your some of those main layer ones you don't want to get rid of.
Okay, so Frederick, you're a perfect example of what we were talking about a little bit ago. What have you learned as far as what Rooster was talking about, as far as the opportunity that he said he always just fumbles the bag when it comes to these generational wealth type of hodls? You said that you sold a little bit of your Bitcoin at $500.
Yep.
What was it that caused you to sell it there? And what was your mindset in holding on to whatever you didn't sell?
Yeah, I mean, I think even at the time I realized, and it's always been kind of like I was a little strapped for cash. I needed the cash, and it's always been the sell of last resort for me. That's kind of the way I look at it.
So back then, it wasn't one of those things where you're like, I don't know, the market's dipped some, or it's up pretty high. I want to just exit while I can. It was more of a necessity type of thing.
Maybe, but it was just like, yeah, I was losing touch with the. I had stopped mining at the time, and I was like, well, I could pay off the credit card real quick. Okay, yeah, you know, and I make, I use that as an example because I tell people it kind of like drops people's jaws sometimes. I'm like, yeah, well, it's that easy, just like Rooster was saying. You can't sit. You gotta move on from your whatever. It's a trade or a sell, and you know go
That was
forward.
my question was, the difference in thought process, kind of similar to Kaleo's. What made you want to sell at 500, and did you sell any at like in the 60s, and if not, why not?
Yeah, actually, I did sell some right at 60. I didn't hit the top. Just because I started having that feeling, because this was the second time, I've been through two cycles. Um, and yeah, it was, I didn't sell enough. I think that was at the time. I'm saying that now, but I do think long term, I'm kind of a believer in the um, stock to flow model. Or the second one is kind of what, you know, at least I think Bitcoin's long term. I think everybody agrees. Most people here at least agree that, you know,
So, Frederick, what you're
yeah.
telling us is a million per Bitcoin is guaranteed. Then it's in the white paper.
uh, I don't know.
Frederick, I'm just letting you know by signing up for this space, you consented to giving financial advice. And we actually have your docs. So all of this will be tied back to you in a court of law if something doesn't happen that you say might
Oh
happen.
dear.
Yeah,
Yeah, no,
Gary's in the audience right now.
I'm sure he is.
No, I'm just, dude, if that was the case, I mean,
No,
man,
I'm
I don't
kidding.
even.
No, I'd say easy. I mean, it's just easy for me to imagine 250K in the neck by 2030. I think that's real easy for me to see, and that's just conservative. I think, you know.
Well, everybody, you heard it
Copy.
here first. Frederick says $250,000
Not financial
per one
advice.
Bitcoin by 2030. So open your longs now, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, Rooster, are you sure he didn't say Wonky Stonks? I could
Well,
be wrong, but I
that
think that's
comes
what I
with it.
heard.
That's the thing. With Bitcoin comes everything.
Yeah, he said Bitcoin to 250K by 2030. What he was leading into is stonks to 1 million by 2030, where the stonks inevitably flip the market cap of Bitcoin.
You know, flipping the market cap of Bitcoin sounds pretty dang impossible. Now, flipping the price of a Bitcoin, you know, like that's something
Yeah, not with that fucking
that
attitude,
is
Kaleo.
extreme. That's something that's extreme, but that's not something that's crazy, right? You know, like flipping $1 trillion market cap. I'll tell you guys right now, the stonks will never hit a $500 billion market cap. If you're in this for a $500 billion market cap project, you know,
Floor it and get the fuck out.
then you got to get out. You know, you've got the wrong expectations. I don't know if an NFT project next cycle will crack above a $100 billion market cap. That sounds like maybe the high end of what an NFT project next market cycle at the very peak could potentially get to. Like,
Yeah, and you just caused lumber to Jeet 100 off a cliff.
lumber's expected that, you know, Jeep for two bill right off the top. And, you know, I'm just level setting here. You know, maybe 200 million, not 2 billion. But yeah,
Yeah,
like,
I heard that, Rooster. I'm in Los Angeles right now. It's loud where I was just at, but I love to hear Frederick speak, and I love those eyes on his punk too.
Yeah, they've been there. I haven't changed my funk. It actually got I got fished for my funk. I had to buy it back. I bought it for 0.08 ETH, and then I bought it back for a half a ETH because I liked it so much. It was my first NFT, and I want more funks. I just haven't. It's probably a good time to buy some funks, but you know,
Would you
everyone's
take $10,000 to sell your PFP right now?
no,
$20,000.
no. It probably 100K. I'd probably sell it for
so
100K.
you are your funk and your funk is you, is what you're
Pretty
telling
much. I'm not the pudgy guy. Yeah, I'm not my pudgy.
me.
My pudgy.
Dude, that's what I'm hearing coming out of your mouth is you're the
No.
pudgy
I
guy
think
because
no. Everybody has their or one or two NFT. Like I bought it for the face of my kind of social, just so I could be faceless at least, and I like the fact that it's
You know, I've never seen Joey and Frederick in the same space together, so
Hey,
Oh, he's
Frederick,
there.
I have a quick
What's
question.
up?
Oh, hey, Frederick, where do you think? And this is, I don't know. I mean, where do you think the bottom for Bitcoin is in this cycle?
Oh, I feel like that's if I say it, it jinxes it. But I thought we might have seen it at 16K. I mean, that was Kaleo. That was right about when you came back around, right?
when is that?
When it was around 16K.
When I first came,
No. Like
I
when you
first
came back and started becoming bullish again. No, I've been
Yeah, yeah,
following you
yeah.
for a while. That's why I bought the Ledger, the Wonky stock, just because I liked you, but you kind of went silent and came back around. It seemed like around that same time.
Oh, I wasn't silent. I was around. But I was bearish all the way down, like, from about 45K down to, around that 16 to 20K area. And a lot of people forget about that there was that stretch where I was bearish throughout that entire leg down.
Yep.
And yeah, so I mean, since then I have leaned more bullish than bearish, but honestly, it's been more of a neutral type mindset. And I think the only issue is the issue that I have as far as I'm a lot louder whenever, even if I'm just expecting a short term bullish move, I'm way louder with my
Yeah,
tweets
and
than when I bearish.
maybe I said
So
it
I think
wrong.
that it's a lot.
Yeah, I was just saying
Yeah,
it in the
no,
sense
no,
I pay less attention when you're bearish because I'm a
exactly,
permeable.
exactly. Like people associate me with bullish Kaleo, which I completely understand. That's part of my persona, and I it is what it is. Like, it's part of it, and I'm fine with that. At the end of the day, I think this space is way more bullish than it is bearish anyway. Otherwise, why would any of us be here, right? If we didn't believe in the upside that crypto has to offer, then I think that you're an idiot for being plugged in the first place.
Yeah.
There's a question for the audience. What do you think comes first from Kaleo? In all caps, $30,000 for one Bitcoin or $20,000 for one Bitcoin?
Put it down in that little bubble in the bottom corner. Let's see what you think. I actually am curious to see what people think at this
So
point.
the question is 20 or 30 first? Which one comes first?
Yeah.
In all caps.
I only tweeted out on the tens. I straight up, yeeted that off CMS Holdings, but they did it every $1,000 back in the day. So I wanted to distinguish myself by doing it every 10 because I thought every 10 was kind of cool, right? But yeah, now they like that's basically all they ever tweet. They only do it every 10 too. I think I standardized it to every 10.
I got to tell you guys, I mean, I really think that we haven't even seen. I just think that the economy is so bad, and I see us going below 10K.
Damn, lumber. Okay, well, at least if you've got that mindset, you're ready for the worst. I don't see that. I don't see that low. Like, could we revisit 20? Sure, why not? Like, F it. Like, could we revisit sub $1,000 ETH? Maybe. Like, I'm not walking away. It's one of those things. If we get down there, that just ape. That's it. Ape with what you have left. But the real survival right now, like the big thing to preach here again, is don't do anything way too risky until realistically March of next year, right before the halving. And even then, don't like leverage the house, right? Because if you look at the halving historically, it doesn't immediately just result in this green dildo all the way to the heavens, right? Like, it is something that usually takes a gradual amount of time to climb higher with some volatility. Like July of 2016, for instance, perfect example. I think within a week or two of the happening, there was this massive sell off. And when I say massive, it was like $100, $200. I'd have to look at the chart. But in my mind, I forget what event happened. I'm not sure if that was the Silk Road crackdown that happened right after that. But either way, there was some type of black swan event that just crashed the market. I'm going to look this up as I'm talking here because I want to be able to prove my point better. So okay, let's see this. So yeah, somewhere in July, like it was, I think the happening was around the 14th of July, early July, right? And there was a climb up leading to it. So, in January, March, May, finally you got a little break higher in May. and it moved from 450 all the way up to 810. So that's a massive move for back then. And it kind of stabilized out at around 650. Well, after that, dude, you saw a crash from 650 down to 450 like a week or two later. So point being, that was an example where then it just kind of stalled out in those prices for a few months and took a few months to begin that ascent all the way up to the 20K area, where we ended up seeing later in 2017. Even May of the last one, May of 2020, right? Like the price actually dipped immediately after. We saw a nice little spike up there. And then the price ended up dipping from 10K back down to 8,200. And then, ended up chopping around those levels for the next, what was it? May to, the end of July. So for the next couple of months, at least, 1, 2, 3 months actually. And then slowly began the grind higher. Really didn't even start until the end of the year. So realistically, all I'm saying is now's the time to be stacking. And the real trend, if history holds, is going to start in March, April, May of next year, right? Everything up until then is just noise, or it's about like stacking high conviction bets and not getting shaken out.
On the contrary to Kaleo's statement, if we do see Bitcoin at 10 or below, abso-fucking-lutely leverage the house. Abso-fucking-lutely. I better not. If you are here right now in the depth of the bear, right? If Bitcoin gets down to 10K, I better not see a single person owning any type of house that is in this room. And I'll take that with me to the grave.
Maybe I should say literally don't leverage because now's not the time to be stacking anything on leverage saying that price can't go below X, right? Before it goes back to Y. That's more so what I'm saying, right? We could dip down to whatever the price is. And I'm still confident that, like Frederick said, let's just say, hey, Bitcoin goes to 100K next cycle, right? Which I think is a really conservative target for a high end price. Say that it goes to 100K from here. That's a 4X, should be pretty solid returns over the next several years. But that doesn't mean that we can't dip down to like 18K first, right? Do I think the odds are in that we don't go sub 20? I still lean that we don't, but that doesn't mean that we can't. So, point being, situationally, something could pop up before then. Right now, it's just the downside is there is downside potential, but the upside potential is so much more that it's just not worth setting yourself up to where, any type of a dip will shake you out.
No, I agree. 110%, man. But one thing we haven't talked about that we were supposed to circle back to from last space is the pandas.
Yeah, that's true. They finally did mint out. Love to see it. Which I, fully confident that they were going to from the beginning. There's no way that they wouldn't from there. And you're still rocking that alien, bro. Again, probably your biggest win of the year, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, that was massive.
Yeah, I mean, probably, yeah, like biggest single trade, or like I don't even know if I guess you could call it a trade because I did sell it and get it back. But yeah, it probably is. I had a week that definitely like 2x'd this trade back in like Pepe times. So that was a really good week. But as so far as single single one token or one coin, yeah, you're probably right. Yeah, no, I'm still love the pandas. Will never fade bags. Definitely not a person you can fade. Did you watch the mint at all and see what was happening during it, or you kind of just was on the side?
What do you mean by just watch it and see what specifically?
So it was, it didn't mint out quickly, right? Obviously, you know, you had 250 locked away for whitelist, right? And then 750 that started at 180 something soul and dropped down to 82, which I think there is 25 pandas minted over the floor price. I mean, someone minted it as soon as it went live. Someone paid fucking 190 soul or whatever for a panda immediately, which I thought was kind of odd, but you know, sure. But yeah, it was definitely the most of the volume was right when mint started, and then the last morning, right? Like the last 8 hours, people just started ripping pandas. And I never had any doubt that they would mint out, and I knew it's a tall order. He just completed, you know, the single largest or the highest price mint ever in the history of Solana, which I feel like Bags definitely deserves flowers for that, especially in a time like this, right? I saw people right before mint started complaining that, you know, they thought it was the OG mint price. They're like, $400 for mint? Are you crazy? And I was like, little does he know, it's like $2,000 to mint. But, you know, sure, if $400 might be overpriced for you, sure. But yeah, so you saw most of the volume in the beginning, not too much volume there in the middle 2 days, and then like 250 get ripped in the last 8 hours. And yeah, congrats to Bags. We did see some people cheating off some ETH pandas to you know, mints, right? So I think Panda 4 ended up getting down to mid point 0.7, right? Like 0.75 when it was sitting at 1.15 before the mint. And then within 20 minutes after mint out, I think we were on Spaces, and people started sweeping pandas, swept them all the way back to like 1.2 immediately after mint. So I think a lot of people were, you know, sidelined, you know, potentially wanting to participate, but didn't want to gamble on a mint that they weren't sure would be completed. And then, you know, adding a supply to any project is always going to, you know, hurt a little bit, especially in terms of price, right? And but now supply overhang's gone, so I think that created some bullish thesis for some people as well, and picked up a couple pandas. But yeah, I think they executed the mint better than anybody else could in this market, and yeah, still rock with the pandas. Love the pandas.
Yeah, pandas obviously are a project that I'm incredibly bullish on as well. Um, so yeah, you know, like impressive execution in the middle of the bear market. That's simple.
You know, what's funny too is so it was one night. It was like the day or two before the final day. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning. You know, I get on Spaces. I see Bags on a space with Frank. I think it was a Leap space. He was on a space with like Frank and Machi, and you know, kind of Frank and Machi were going at it. You could tell Frank's demeanor all changed too, because this was right after, you know, a couple people put up some bid walls and you know, consumed Machi's dump. So Frank was acting like all smug and everything, and then Bags called him out on it. He's like, "You over there?" He's like, "Nah, you no longer have to beg Machi to please don't dump the D gods. Like, please, I'll do it." Oh, it was funny. But apparently, he struck a chord with some like Solana OG, and you know, no one's ever interacted with this dude. He comes
I
in
know
and
who he is. He's an old FTX guy.
yeah, he comes in and rips
He's the old
60
FTX
pandas.
dev head.
Ends up pulling two of the 101s. They were minted one in it, one panda in between two of the 101s. So yeah, this he heard back. Apparently, he got bullish on Bags at like 2 o'clock in the morning his time, off a bottle of Clase Azul, and he was like, you know what, this is a guy I want to bet on right here. Let me let me rip 60 pandas.
That's amazing, man. Yeah, no, I've known Berg since back during the FTX days. He was there as their biz dev head, and he got out at the right time, to be honest. Like, he got out because of some creative differences. I don't think it was necessary. Anyway, like, he's a good dude. He wasn't tied up into any of the BS. Or if he was, I don't know about it. Who knows, mate?
It was fucking hilarious. So we're on Spaces when one of the 101s gets revealed, right? He hops up on the space with us and he's like, oh, cool. And like 10 of his pandas haven't revealed yet, 10 of the other ones. And so we're waiting like 20 minutes. And then we find out he had minted a second of the 101s. And so everybody's like super hyped for this dude. And he's like, oh, that's
Has he sold off either?
I'm sorry?
Has he sold off either?
No. I'm pretty sure. I think they're pretty locked up. He seemed completely unfazed by pulling $120,000 in 2 JPEGs. He was like, "Oh, cool. I'm gonna go to bed now." And like we were all like, "Dude, what the fuck?" Like, that's the kind of level I aspire to be at one day. I'll just ripped $120,000. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go to sleep. I'll have a morning celebratory coffee when I wake up about it. Fuck no, I would have been out in the club that night if I pulled 2 101s.
Bro, those early FTX guys made a lot of money. It's that simple. Like even after the crash, the majority of them still have a decent amount. It's that simple. So
yeah, and then the last 101 was minted by some 19-year-old kid in his mom's basement.
that's actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
So expect that one to go up for sale is what you're telling me.
Well, people were trying to buy it off of him on Space. They're like, Bags was like, I'll give you 23 ETH for it right now, or 25 ETH for it. And then he was like, I was like, I mean, that's a low IQ play to sell anything, especially anything of value, especially a Panda 1 of 1 right now in this market. I was like, that is the lowest EV play I've ever seen in my life. I was like, don't do that to this kid. I told him, I was like, if anything, if you want to compartmentalize, your NFT, I would trade it, hit up a whale, and be like, give me 25 pandas, and I'll give you, we'll trade for the 101. That would be the only trade I would do. Would be, just spreading it out into a little bit more equity, so you can, if you need $2,000 for books or something, right? You can sell one panda rather than having to offload the whole piece of the 101. Yeah, there's sharks in the water
I
trying
brought
to
up
this kid to offload it.
That was basically the offer I brought up back during the beginning of the year when I listed my, 1 of 1 honorary. Was that I was like, okay, like if this sells, I'll just sweep the pandas plus whatever else, right? Where it was basically a trade for exactly what you're saying, where if you get out, then that is the type of thing that I think you really look for in that type of a situation. But here's the only thing I'd say from the kid's perspective that you'd have to think about as a potential plus EV for the immediate liquidation, right? It would be some people's argument for, well, I could make so much more if I won the lottery and I get paid out over time versus, just taking the upfront check. That's kind of what a decent comparison is, right? In a sense, like that's almost what I would compare it to. It's like, okay, you either take the upfront check at an extreme discount, or you get paid out over time, like multiples higher, but it takes a little bit longer to be able to extract that value.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I can definitely see the comparison there. My biggest argument for him, though, is to like, why the fuck would you liquidate it right now? I was like, even if you were like piss broke, right? Like the kid was saying, he was like, yeah, I was selling every position of my, all the coins that I had to, mint one panda, right? And Bags was like, fucking sell the thing. He's like, I'll buy it from you right now, because it was the fighter that he minted, right? And that was Bags' favorite 101. And I was like, bro, I mean, if you were piss broke before minting the 1 of 1, like just imagine you never minted it then, right? Like that doesn't really change anything. You're piss broke before, pretend you're piss broke now. Stay in your mom's basement, stack whatever you need to stack, and wait until there's actually, liquidity and momentum in the market to offload anything. Because yeah, if you got people, jumping at you right away to sell it for $30,000 or whatnot, Like, don't fucking take that. Or $50,000, whatever it was.
Well, that's the tough thing with a one of one is that a lot of the times, if you mint something and there is some hype around it at the very beginning, it's not a bad idea to sell it. But like, because you might be able to buy back on the dip something that was similar after the hype dies off from the initial whatever. But like, the difference here is with a one of one, the average person that collects those, they don't just give them up easily, right? Like the average person that collects a one of one has diamond hands to be able to sit there and, you know, they're confident in their decision. They like the art, they like the project, and they're willing to sit through whatever types of dips. It doesn't part from their hands very easily majority of the time. So it's that much more difficult if you ever want to have that type of opportunity again. You know, it's not something that'll typically, you know, after you sell it, the guy's like, oh, I made a mistake. I'm just going to list this for half the price now. It doesn't happen.
Yeah, no, and you know, if it were a different project, I would probably liquidate immediately as well. Like the major difference for me is that you minted a one of one panda, right? If I minted a one of one dick butt, yeah, that shit's going on the market immediately. Ideally, I want that gone out of my wallet within an hour, right? Just like I did with the Trump 101. I minted that shit. I immediately cheated that shit off a cliff because I knew there was no staying power. Now, on the contrary, with pandas and bags, yeah, very, very, very low negative EV play. Like, you know, I'm not cheating a 101 panda when the floor price is, you know, hovering around 1 ETH right now, and literally the NFT Pico bottom, like the Pico bottom. So congrats to Kid. I hope he doesn't let the sharks take it from him. I hope he doesn't sell it. If anything, you know, trade up. You know, hit up a whale. Be like, I got this one on one. Give me, you know, because there's whales who minted 100 pandas for, you know, $400 a pop, right? Back in the day, because when the first mint was going on, once they released all the metadata, you were actually able to snipe on chain. You can kind of see what was coming next. So people back then were loading like 50 clips, 60 clips, firing off to try and get, you know, one-on-ones that they could actually see.
Yeah. So I'm trying to think what else is happening in the market right now. You know, like it'll be interesting to see whether or not the friend tech meta actually continues strongly this week. I will also like, here's my theory on it, right? It's been basically all the big people that kind of joined this past week show their points today. And that you've got basically one more week of that hype cycle left, and then realistically probably dies out for about 6 months and picks back up right around the time the points are supposed to convert into some actual like token. Whenever there's an announcement about the point conversion to a token, there's probably an uptick again, but it's probably pretty dead until then. But I just thought it was so funny going on the global feed last night and just seeing everybody publicly trading these OnlyFans and fake OnlyFans accounts. And they're like, that's all that was on the global feed account, man. As soon as they put up the addition of pictures, it was the funniest thing.
Yeah, and I knew this was gonna happen, but it was funny how quick, like the immediate J turn from alpha, right, quote unquote, alpha groups to OnlyFans simp channels. I mean, like on a dime, that shit turned, and I'm honestly, it's been absolutely fucking hilarious. I haven't dealt with friend tech in since last Friday, so pretty much a week after the points dropped, and you know, it had that blow off top. I was like, okay, this is where, you know,
Tell me to dump your shares.
go for it. I don't give a fuck, bro. I don't know if you saw the tweet I put the other day. I was like, brought back the old video of the World of Warcraft kid who like tries to shove the TV remote up his butt. You remember that video?
No, I never saw that.
Oh, that was like one of the OG viral videos. OG in my time, so it's probably like, mid 2000s, right? Um, Funny ass video. I was like me when someone sells my friend tech shares for $6, and it was just like a freak out of this kid. No, but I sat there and I thought about it thoroughly, and I was like, okay, what's the bull thesis for this versus what's the bear thesis? And the bull thesis had like one bullet point, right? And it was pretty much bullish for creators only, right? The people who can actually, make any type of money on trading fees was pretty much the bull thesis. Other than that, I really didn't see the point. Like there's, aggregate accounts that have shares of the top 10 accounts, whatever, and you just buy their share and you get the top 10 accounts leaked, right? So you don't have to spend 20 ETH or whatever the fuck it is to be a part of them, right? So there wasn't any safeguard against, the chats being leaked. The second thing was retail's in a position to get dumped on. The bots infiltrated it immediately. Like, the first couple by Friday, holy shit, the amount of bots that were out there, like anybody over 10K followers on Twitter, immediately as they joined, their price would pump up to like 0.1 ETH. And like you couldn't even get a transaction to go through until about 0.1 ETH. And then yeah, I've seen countless people like, like, oh, this person just created an account. Buy. And everyone gets in after the bots and then they get dumped on. So for most of retail, right, without people like willing to risk, a few $1,000 to play around, they were at a severe disadvantage. So I didn't see that. And the third thing was, it's like if the alpha was shit before on a new app, it's not going to make it any better, right? So yeah, I saw people like,
Bro,
doing what they
here's
do with
the only
NFTs.
potential upside I see outside of that was, but this is the thing that's so subjective about it, and it's a catch-22. Is the airdrop farming? I did see people that had super low floor prices. Like I saw a dude with 0.01 ETH for his floor price. He had a 6,000 point airdrop, which means that from the airdrop perspective, it's completely possible from whatever way they calculate it to be able to still farm a lot of points without having like a big creator account. But the thing is, none of the public data for how to do that is released. So from the upside perspective, it's like, well, if you kind of figure out how to crack the code, then you could do a calculation and say, okay, whatever fees that I'm spending during some of these trades, like I am earning X amount more with the airdrop. But then from the downside perspective, like you could be completely wrong and waste the fees. So I think that there is a potential upside for maybe tinkering around and trying to figure out what that is. Because as soon as they release what the points farming mechanisms are, and they say, hey, here's how it's actually kind of calculated, it'll be botted to hell, right? So I think it's more bullish that they haven't released it rather than they have, because it puts a little bit more of a gaming kind of crack the code aspect into it.
I mean, sure, but like if you look at it, as any type of realist, one, there's no value assigned to it, right? Like nobody has any fucking idea what any one of these points is gonna, like each point could be equivalent to one Pepe coin, right? And you pretty much farm like 13 cents the entire time you've cheated, 2 ETH in fees off a cliff, right? And then, realistically, the max amount that they would set aside for airdrop, I mean, the absolute max would be the total allocation of fees from everybody, right? And so, best case scenario, you get your trading fees back. Is what I'm thinking. You're like, the people we don't know how they're calculated, but I'm thinking best case scenario, you're getting your trading fees back as probably the medium ground, and then the top outliers, end up profiting with not being the ones that are trading too much.
So call it a
However, the
zero
points
sum
are
game
flowing.
then, Rooster. Call it a zero sum game, right? At the end of the day, if it's a zero sum game, it all goes back to, and it's tough. It's like, if you think you can find an edge, and if you can't, I think that you're right. Like, I think what is going to happen from here, I'm not disagreeing with you, is that after this next, like, people are going to share their points one more time today. And I think you see one more resurgence because there were so many big accounts that waited to join it until this week. And what happened, what got them to join it? It was everybody sharing their points last week. So I think you get one more influx potentially with everybody flexing it today. But then after that, I really don't see what the next tier up is in the short term until they give more of an outline of exactly what you're saying. With saying, hey, like, here's what points are actually going to be worth. Here's when they're going to translate into some type of a token. Here's our structure. Like, until they outline anything like that, I agree. Like, the interest is going to die off and everything's going to go quiet on there for a bit. It's one of those things that provides like a brief bit of hype at the mean or in the very beginning, dies off for a long time, and only really gains traction again if they execute the other side of it well. So I think it's, like what I've said toward it is, I think anybody for putting 20 or $30 in there to bridge over and potentially get whatever, I think honestly probably worth it just to learn about the bridging side of it and to be able to potentially put your name in the cap, because who knows what they will be worth. So I like that. That's been my recommendation. It's like the 0.01 ETH, dude. That's pay the fees, do whatever, create an account, and set yourself up for a potential airdrop. Like, that's simple. But past that, I agree with you. You don't need to just completely G'd into it if you don't feel like you have an edge.
Yeah, absolutely. 0.01 ETH, absolutely worth the risk, right? Obviously, if you can afford it, but I assume if you're still here at this time, you can afford it. 100% agree with that. My thing about the points, though, and like the influx of users, is like it's not even a halvening. It's like a quartering, right? Wasn't there like a 4x in users? Pretty much from when people announced how many points they got, and they're dropping the same amount of points every week. So that's going to be that many points divided by 4 times more people, right? And then it's going to be divided even further after today, once they announce again, and there's another influx of users. So the farming is going to end up more and more obsolete, especially, if the tokens aren't worth above, Blur token, let's say, right? People even given up on farming Blur token, and they know exactly what the Blur token is worth.
Dude,
So
Blur, I think, has shot themselves in the foot. By the way, they've done everything too. They got greedy.
Oh yeah, but Blur, and I said this like shit, quite a few months ago. Blur could have been the saviors of the NFT market if they played their cards right. But oh my god, did they do like the stupidest shit? Like the way they could have, especially with how much hype, double points got, or triple points got. You got people to do anything to get double points, right? You got people loaning out their NFTs. You got people putting up fucking 10,000 ETH worth of bid walls on shit, just to farm these points, right? But yeah, no, they absolutely fucking shot themselves in the foot, and they killed OpenSea. But not only did they kill OpenSea, is they made themselves obsolete. Now OpenSea's trying to come back in a revival the worst way possible by bypassing all creator royalties. Like, yeah, the NFT marketplace market right now is honestly horrendous. And there is, I think there's space for another one at this point. Before 6 months ago, I wouldn't have said so. I would have said Blur has market dominance, and they're going to keep it for indefinite amount of time as it is. But now I think the floor is open again for another marketplace.
Hey guys, I'm back.
Yo, welcome back, man.
Yeah, I think you might start to see more NFTs like do their own kind of marketplace. It just seems like the tech is too easy to just duplicate.
Yeah.
I mean, you are seeing that. Apes are doing it now, and they set themselves to go live the day OpenSea updates to pretty much no royalties. I can definitely see a lot of your major,
Yep.
definitely your major players do that. I don't know about the smaller projects that are already here. That'll probably take too much of what little funds they have to get everything organized for themselves. So I think you'll probably see majority of projects still.
Well, but it's also tough for a smaller project, Rooster. You have to think about this, where if you create a market, you have to be able, like, part of the advantage of some of those major exchanges is the fact that there are all these projects aggregated together. So you do get more eyes and more potential volume, more potential whatever toward it. So that's one of the disadvantages of setting up your own market is if you try to, do a project and make it exclusively toward that, well, you put yourself on an island.
Yeah, it's
And
like selling on Amazon versus opening your own Etsy shop, right?
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, and I agree. I'm glad I didn't have any funds on FTX, but I was intrigued by how well they were rolling out the NFT. The ability to cross chain, at least what they were trying to do, cross chain all the different Sol projects and ETH. But glad I didn't end up buying into.
How many stonks are stuck on FTX right now? Do we remember that number, Kaleo?
I don't remember the exact number, but I think it's somewhere around like 100 or so, and we still have no idea what's going to happen with those. I've been in contact with them on whatever, and I have no idea. Like, there are realistically two things that they're going to do, right? It's either A, they say, hey, these are treated differently because, the hassle of trying to go through, liquidate, or like actually three things. One, they lose track of them because you've got like 60-year-old men who have no idea what they're doing with crypto that lose track of the assets that are on the wallets and they don't do anything with it. Two, one day because of that, they just yeet them all into some type of bids, and they do that with all the projects they have. And they just say, hey, actually, like, F you guys, we're going to just consolidate this to the overall party, and give this back, or not give this back, but like consolidate the equity from this back toward the overall, liquidation of everything to, standardize equity across all creditors. Or three, they say, hey, these are different. We're going to return these based on whatever function toward it. They haven't released anything toward that yet. So, like, we're still waiting as far as any type of word from what they're going to do. And they're impossible to deal with on that. So, yeah.
Speaking about waiting on any type of word, do we have any type of word on the stonk in the FTX arena yet?
Oh, bro, it's coming. They promised me.
Oh, those were the days. Oh, good old FTX, man.
Just think about what
Yeah.
could have been, what they had in front of them that they gave up. It's still crazy.
I remember the good old days of BTC-E-.com for the did you ever trade on that, Kaleo?
No, I did not.
That was like way back in 2011 or 12. It got shut down, and I think the guy he spun it back up. It was like some Russian exchange, BTC-E.
Wait,
I
you're
think some of
telling
you
me
may
a
know.
popular cryptocurrency exchange got shut down and somehow others spun up after it and BTC
Yeah,
something
it
else
was
didn't die?
nuts. Yeah, so it was nuts. You
Oh,
basically it was essentially he had a respun up his servers, and they offered you, and it seemed like a scam, but you knew exactly what was in your account. When you relogged in, it allowed you to withdraw half your money, and I like basically you could trust it on the new site. It's almost like you want that to happen with FTX. You want them to spin up another site so you can take your money out real quick. But that's what they did way back in the day, and I got half my money, but it was better than none.
It's just the same Russian dude who made Bitslotto and dumped the market for this puny little.
I think so. Probably.
Y'all remember that a few months or a year ago or whenever the fuck it
R.I.P.
was?
Bitslotto. No, that was the SEC that shut down Bitslotto for, which I don't even think that Bitslotto rugged anybody, Rooster. I think Bitslotto was purely shut down for operating as, an unregistered securities exchange, and they were money laundering. And you looked at like what the DOJ seized, and it was $12K in assets or something.
Yeah, they had in what they were doing like
Or not
20,000 in
the
volume.
SEC, whatever, DOJ, SEC, whatever the heck it was. Yeah, point being, it was the most ridiculous headline in the world.
Nuke the market. What was it, like 5-10% that day? That was so fucking funny.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, if you want to look it up, you can. It's on Wikipedia. BTC-E. It was around 2011 to 2015. But FTX, that's a sad, sad story. I hate that. I had a friend who I finally got him to buy into some crypto, and right when it was, probably in the 50s or something, he was like, "Oh man, yeah, I finally got some crypto. I got FTX." He's like, "You should download FTX." Gave me his referral. I downloaded it, but I never put any money in there. Luckily. But I know you had some, Kaleo.
Bro, we don't bring that up on Wonky Spaces.
Oh, sorry.
That's taboo.
R.I.P.
Maybe it's
all good. Moved on.
New day, new dawn.
Best today, better tomorrow.
Amen. All right, y'all. Well, I love you guys, and it's been a fun week. We'll be back next week for more fair market action. Frederick, thanks for joining, man. Definitely feel free to hop back on stage anytime. Love to have you. Loved. I like, one of my favorite things is hosting these and having the occasional people like you pop up where it's like, yeah, I've held stonks for X amount of time, and I always just hang out in the background, and putting a name to a face to a holder is really cool. So thanks again for coming up.
Yeah, man. Anytime. Thanks, guys.
All right, y'all, take it easy. Wonky stonks are inevitable, and we'll see you next week for week 80.
Later, everybody.
When I'll be in Denver.
Oh, sick. Yo,
oh, man. Used to live there. I used to live there. Low high. Love it.
I'm out here right now. Also, Kaleo, real quick, I pinned that the video and the tweet I was talking about up at the top. So let me know if you remember this video.
I'll check it out, man.
All right, later, everybody. Have a great weekend.
Later.
All right, guys.